And we're live. Good morning, everybody. It's your favorite truck driver in the whole wide world. Driver in the whole wide world. It's Bitcoin Ben. Hang on one second. I'm going to change your little thing here, Ben. I'm going to put this in there too. Hang on a second, folks. Nothing but the best here, guys. You all know that.
Quality production through and through.
There we go. That's the email address for CALIX Solutions. I just thought I'd toss that up.
That's great.
All right. Welcome to the show, guys and gals. Today, it's the more people that I talk to, the more bullish I am on cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin. Now, let me tell you a little story. Last night from 6 until about 8:30, I was at a beautiful Florida church doing a lecture on cryptocurrencies and the Bitcoin in front of a pretty good, I'd say there was maybe 50 people in there. One of the church members are a member of our club. And he's very active in his church. And once a month, he usually does a class on something. You know, it's like, how to do your taxes. And he'll bring in a tax person, or how to do. Was it him or not? One of them actually brought in a guy to show him how to, I think, clean their weapons. That makes sense, And so he brought us in last night. And he said, usually when he sends out these emails, he'll get 3-4 people show up. Nothing big, but he really does it for the community. He's very active in his church. And he said when he sent out the email of, hey, does anyone want to learn about Bitcoin and cryptos? He said he got more responses than he's ever gotten for as long as he's been doing this, which is 5 years. And there was a crowd there last night. And what made it even more fun, he invited some of the bankers from the bank that the church works with. I can't count how many times I said, not to offend you guys, but this is not directed at you personally, but bankers are crooks. I'm sure you guys are honest, but luckily they actually bank with a local place, not one of the big ones. I sat there for probably an hour and a half talking about cryptos, history, answering questions, talking about the situation we're in. And I'm not, now mind you, this is a church in Florida. The average age of the people there was probably 70. But they're more awake than 90% of the younger generation, because there were several people there that had lost grandparents to communism, where like their grandparents were actually killed over in Europe. And that's why their family came over, was they were actually being prosecuted and hunted down by the communists. And so like these people remember their moms and their dads, like talking about how they left wherever they were. Like they grabbed what they could grab and get out. There wasn't this, playing it out type of thing. It was grab some clothes, grab as much food, and they were literally walking for miles to reach a train that they would sneak onto to get out of the country. So these people have lived the communist revolutions, and all of them are like, it's a carbon copy. It's we got the same things going on here. And just listening to these people talk and all I could think of is, as they're asking me questions, they sounded like probably what the Jewish people in Germany were like during Hitler. I'm trying to save my wealth for my grandchildren. Is this a tool I can do? Is this a tool I can use to literally rescue the wealth that I have saved over my life so I can give it to my children so the government cannot confiscate it?
The difference here is, in their situation, it was a choice between living within the system and saving their wealth or getting their asses out of there.
Yeah.
And here, it's how do we save our wealth because there's no place else to go.
Yeah. There is no America Part 2.
No. No.
And what a lot of people don't realize is that early in America's history, Europeans actually thought of America as the equivalent of Australia. If you don't know the history of Australia, it was basically a continent turned into a prison.
It was a penal colony.
It was a penal colony.
And America was the land of the outcasts.
Yeah. And but then they started to see production. They started to see, like, wait a second. They're creating value. There's a functioning economy over there. Then all of a sudden, the king's like, well, hang on a second here. There's money to be made in them damn hills. And then all of a sudden.
And his problem was he started going for tax revenue.
Yep. Yep. And way overreached. Because you have to understand the original people that came to America. These were the Puritans. Now, think of Christian fundamentalists.
Right.
Those were the Puritans. They were like the extreme Muslim of the Christian faction. That's why they're called Puritans, because they worshiped at such a devout level. Read some history on the Puritans, and it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah. Yeah. They were, there's a reason why they were run out of England. It wasn't that they just wouldn't take part in the Church of England. They had some other issues.
Oh yeah, 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 and see, that's why whenever people say that America is not a Christian nation, you can't have America without the Christian factor. It was so ingrained. Sovereignty was so ingrained in the culture of early America that the evolution of America was solely based on sovereignty. And until you accept that, that's why a lot of Europeans can't really understand America, because they don't come from generational roots of sovereignty, which means owning your soul. Right? That's what sovereignty is, where you own your soul, and not a king, not a church, nothing got between you and God. And that's what America was built on. That God himself gave you the gift of life and free will. And that was it, folks. That was it. And that's why JFK was so controversial, because you had so many Puritans in America, or remnants of Puritans, shall we say.
My family came over on the Mayflower.
Yeah. See, they didn't have a problem with JFK politically more than they did religiously, because he was Catholic. Wasn't he Roman Catholic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that there's a real fine line there between Orthodox
Right.
and Roman. I mean, Constantinople or Rome, take your pick. Either one.
Yeah. But the factor was, it's religion is so ingrained in America's fabric. And with that religion came the principles of the religious faith. And that's what shaped America.
So what was the outcome of this meeting?
It was everyone wants to buy Bitcoin because once I explained the technology, and once I explained that we could help them learn how to do it, and even hook them up with a laptop, help them set it up, help them get it, rolling here, then take the laptop, put it in their safe, and they loved that even if the laptop was destroyed, that you could recover your wallet.
Right.
And if you can remember your seed phrase, you're good. One guy did make a joke. He goes, Alzheimer's might be a pitch. And I said, well, that is true. That's why, if you'd like, we could help you engrave your seed phrase onto a piece of metal.
Right.
And put that in your safe, or give that to your son or your daughter.
Right.
And that
true story.
All they heard was that Bitcoin, that people lost money, that people had been hacked, people had their money stolen. And I explained, what you've been hearing is the equivalent of somebody robbed a bank and everyone's trying to blame the dollars. What happened was someone robbed the bank and took the dollars. It wasn't the dollars that failed. It was the security of the bank. And that's another time I had to point to the bankers and go, not that you guys are going to get robbed, or you guys are safe. You guys are good people, trying to be as PC as I could be. But it felt so cool actually being up there at a pulpit.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
No.
Oh, it was fun. I almost
I'm sure there wasn't a cloud in the sky.
I felt a little earth shake.
Yeah.
Looking for lightning to come
down. Exactly.
But that's what you guys should be doing. If you're active in your church, if you're active at a gym, at any type of event, you should be spreading the word of the escape valve. It's Patrick, I know you've had issues with your church lately. Are you
lately?
Nah. You guys switched from one local church over to another, didn't you? Or am I?
We were roving for a long time. We had a couple of churches that we went to. We went downtown St. Louis, the old cathedral.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Primarily,
beautiful church.
Well, it's a beautiful church, and also the liturgy is conservative, and there aren't any liturgical dancers in the aisles with wands.
Those are the Pentecostals.
And ribbons and ballet shoes on 400-pound men. This is old time religion, and the message is direct, and it's out of Vatican I primarily, and while Pope Francis gets reference, it's a nod of the head and nothing more. yeah, it's back when there are still a good number of conservatives within the local hierarchy. It's just Rome that where we have some problems, some serious problems. But that's true in any religion where, I mean, when you have people who are in positions of power and they find themselves being the figurehead, they feel that they can do no wrong, when in actuality they can do a lot of wrong, and they do it on a regular basis. And the guy that we have in charge of our church missteps as a daily event, and yeah, the time's coming. The time's coming. So
it's exactly like any other organization.
that's correct.
If you have leadership, you will eventually deal with some type of corruption.
Yeah, you will. Man's involved, so it's going to happen. But as a member of the faithful, I have no problem with the liturgy, with the catechism, with the dogma, with the rites of the church. I think that they're all absolutely where they need to be. It's just the people who are in charge of them. And again, that happens anywhere. So we have found, and there's a local church that we now are registered with as parishioners.
Oh, good. Good for you.
Well, I mean, it wasn't like we weren't dropping a check in the basket every week. We did. It was just between 3 churches, and they were all very good. We're still going to go there to the other 2, but not as frequently. So,
last night was very eye-opening for me, because as people ask questions and they were telling you, or they were testifying.
Put your hand on the blockchain, brothers and sisters.
That's right. Put your hand. Feel the Satoshi. And what I saw was a bunch of scared people. That's what I saw.
They're everywhere.
And and probably one of the most frightening things for them was their children and their grandchildren weren't listening to them. They're like, "Oh, Mom, you're a conspiracy theorist." That'll never happen in America.
Yeah. In order to be a conspiracy, you have to have been a conspiracy theory at one point.
Yeah, and these
baby steps.
Exactly. These people were like having legitimate conversations with their children, like, "Look, this is what's happening. Socialism, communism. This is an inside revolution of our government, and their children and their grandchildren. It's blowing them off." And what frustrates them so much is they're like, "We have wisdom at our age." That's what they're not factoring in. They're thinking, "Oh, that's Mom just talking." No, that's Mom's wisdom. Your mom's got warnings that you don't have because her life was different than yours. And one lady got emotional, which of course made me emotional. And she's like, "It's like my children they think I have an agenda other than what is best for them. And like I said, she was like getting emotional. She's like, so let's talk about this. All right. Your whole life, from the time I was wiping your ass till yesterday when you called me for advice, that was all solid. That was good. But I tell you this now, and you're like, oh man, you're a conspiracy theorist. So what made me legitimate yesterday, but now what I'm telling you is hogwash. It's these older, they have no agenda except to protect their families.
Well, not only that,
Uh,
they don't have that social filter
yeah,
that's required by the younger folks because they don't want to offend the people around them. The older folks at this point are going, I don't give two sous. It doesn't matter to me. This is the way that it is. And I think that ruffles the feathers of the kids that are walking on eggshells because they don't want to disappoint their friends, neighbors, and colleagues when their parents are blunt and straightforward with the information. Not only that, but in order to accept what mom or dad are telling me, I'm going to find myself challenging the standards that I've created for myself, the truths that I've created. Those all have to be challenged now. And I have to rethink this. And I don't have time for that because the kids have baseball and soccer and Jimmy's falling back, behind in third grade and Sally's still wet in her bed.
yeah.
So it's the little battles that they're fighting, and you're chipping away at their what sanity is left, and so they lash out at the people that they love and they say you're a conspiracy theorist.
Yep. And last night I had a gal ask me, well, you're kind of with the government like attacking cryptos right now. You're kind of poking your head up from the bunker, aren't you, Ben? I said, you're damn right. I said, look, at the point that you are afraid of your government, where you won't open your mouth, that's when you're at the point where you should open your mouth. And whether I'm attacked or sued or whatever, at this point, what's the other choice?
Right.
Relinquish our country? That's the other choice? No, I won't do that. It's Patrick's father went to war for this country.
Like many other.
Right, like many others. If you think that Patrick and I, because I had relatives who were also in wars, if you think that on our watch that we're going to relinquish our country, knowing that our fathers and our That would be a slap in the face to our ancestors. Sorry, Dad. I was too weak to do what you did.
Yeah, I've said this before. 2 generations ago, 18-year-olds were storming the beaches of Normandy. Now they're trying to figure out what gender they are.
Yep.
And whether or not they'll wear yoga pants today or a skirt.
Yep. Sorry, guys.
We got 30 minutes. Does that?
Oh yeah. Let me take a break real quick. Get a word from the sponsor. Redo my makeup, and we'll be right back.
You're supposed to make your lipstick run, not your mascara.
Yeah. Thanks, Patrick. You're such a ray of sunshine.
Introducing the Liberty Laptop, your gateway to online anonymity. Engineered with your privacy in mind, the Liberty Laptop comes equipped with cutting-edge security features, ensuring that your data remains yours and yours alone. No more worries about your personal information being shared without consent. Say goodbye to prying eyes and third-party snoops. Enjoy your online freedom with advanced privacy settings, protecting your every digital move, all at your fingertips. With the Liberty Laptop, you control what others see and don't see. We customize your privacy settings and let only what matters most to you be shared. No more concerns about unwarranted surveillance. We put the power back in your hands. No unwanted access through the laptop's camera and microphone. Powered by the latest technology, the Liberty Laptop ensures performance while respecting your personal boundaries. The Liberty Laptop. Your control. Your privacy. Your world. Visit calixsolutions.io to experience true personal freedom today.
All righty, we are back. All right, we are going to wrap up here on regular YouTube. And I think we're heading over to CALIX YouTube.
Sure.
Is that right?
Well, yeah, but we also have cyber stuff is at 11:30 today. So you guys will be getting.
That's what it is.
Yeah. We can do, I mean, whatever you want to do. You want to go over to.
No, hello. I'll actually continue the show.
Sure, that's fine.
Then at 11:30
Central
Time.
Subscribers should have received an email from us with a link to the site.
Yep. We will meet you guys in the YouTube and because I think I sent you the private link on the private server, and I can link that with the YouTube channel.
Okay.
So it will be on both.
Okay.
And you guys emailed out the private link for the private server.
Okay. Well, we'll double check. But anyway.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to let Patrick go so he can take care of some business. Patrick,
Adios.
Whoa. How can people get a hold of you if they're interested in a crypto laptop or a Liberty laptop?
See if I can get this. This email address right here. info@calixsolutions.io.
Perfect.
That's one. The other is call me at 702-845-8276. You can go to our website. Go to our website, which is calixsolutions.io, and you can get information there. And if that's not enough, get in touch with us and ask us your questions. You can also chat with us up on the website. There's a link to live chat. So you can serve something up there if you'd like. All right?
Yep. All right, Patrick. Love you, brother. I'll see
Love
you
you.
at 11:30 Central.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everybody. Now, sorry about getting a little emotional. You guys know how I am. It's so important. Oh, hang on a second. I got to get on. I got to get off YouTube. Everyone watching on my YouTube channel, click the link under here, and you can go over to Rumble and watch the next half hour, or you can join the private server on Patreon or SUBSTACK and watch the full hour and a half show, because we still have an hour and a half worth to do. So everyone on YouTube, love you guys. Join us for the rest of the show on Rumble or on the private server. Bye, YouTube. Everyone say bye to YouTube. All right. Now we are on Rumble. Oh, and I think I got the Rumble chat. Yes. Rumble chat's over here. Let's see what we got going on here. All right. We have so much going on. We have so much going on. We want people to understand cryptocurrencies, understand freedom. There was no. Oh, hang on a second. Let me check over here on Patreon. I thought I sent one. Let me check over on Patreon real quick. I guess I didn't do one. Hang on 1 second, and I will create that right now. Copy that. Do that. Paste that there. Take this. Close that. Take this. Copy that. Do that. There we go. Hang on 1 second. There we go. All righty. You guys should be receiving your email. Sorry about that, guys. I thought I posted it, and apparently I didn't. That was my fail, guys. Sorry about that. Now, let me see if I also did it on Substack. I may have screwed up this morning. Yeah, I screwed up. Let me do a post for Substack. Here we go. Sorry, guys. So sorry about this. I was swamped this morning here at the club. I will send out that link right now. It'll just take a second. Copy. There we go. Link. Paste. Oh. Link. Paste. This. Copy. Paste. Paste. Link. Continue. Send. There you go. All right, good. I've been a busy guy. Folks, I'm telling you now, and this thing going on with Israel, look, Ukraine, notice all of a sudden, Ukraine's gone. Is the war in Ukraine over? Yeah, it's over, right? Because they know they can't funnel money through there anymore. So now they have to pick a bigger victim. See, the left and the progressives are always about moving to the bigger victim. A new distraction. Yep, a new victim. Oh, now we need to fund Israel. It's just a new pipeline for money, folks. That's it. This is all about money. And it's frustrating to watch it. Right now, the reason it's so damn frustrating is that we all know that it's a lie, right? We all know. Right? You know what I'm saying? Right. We have to understand that the British is who started this. How Britain started this. This is all on purpose. This is the CIA. This is Mossad. This is all that. This is MI5. This is all that. Now, I'm going to show you guys how this all got started and how they set it all up. It's once you understand how they set it all up, then you understand that this is all bullshit. This is all absolute bullshit. And that the American people are being taken advantage of. Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Watch watch all of the X-22 last night, right? X-22 last night laid it out. It was great. In fact, I'll tell you what, for those of you that didn't watch it, let's give it a little watch, right? Because it's well damn worth it. And, oh, there it is. All right, let me bring it up here. Bring it up here. There we go. Move this over here. Now let's go big. Present, share screen. Now, check this out.
Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X-22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 3183 BN. Today's date is October 10th, 2023, and the title of the episode is Warmongers Are Being Exposed. Missile Warning System Transferred to Space Force. Stage is set. Let's talk about protecting yourself online. Caesars Entertainment has confirmed that Social Security numbers linked to reward players were stolen in recent Las Vegas cyber attacks. If hackers have those Social Security numbers, then it would put the banking and financial life of those players at risk. Credit cards and loans could be taken out of their name, and money may be removed from their bank accounts. Unfortunately, data breaches involving Social Security numbers like this are no longer uncommon. This is why myself, along with tens of thousands of people, protect themselves online with Virtual Shield. Virtual Shield gives me security with an all-in-one privacy suite that includes an industry-leading VPN that anonymizes my IP address. What Trump and the Patriots 24/7 customer support do. Virtual closed every step of the way. And think about what Trump and the Patriots are doing right now. Every step of the way, they're being exposed. Think about the border. Think about the economy. Think about Ukraine. Now we have Israel. Now the warmongers are being exposed. And the people are starting to realize and understand who these warmongers really are. And I do believe this is going to get a lot worse as we go through 2024, because what's going to happen, we're going to see war pop up in all different locations. Remember, when Trump was in the White House, he showed the people, this is what you have to do to have peace. Biden comes in and he's the resident, and all of a sudden we have war breaking out all over the place. And I do believe the people, they're starting to see all of this and they're starting to understand. And as we move forward throughout 2024, you're just going to hear the war drums get louder and louder and louder. And the Biden administration is going to be responsible for all of this. And when you really look at it, the stage is being set for one thing and one thing only. That is the 2024 elections. That is to wake the people up. That is to have the people see exactly what the deep state players have in mind, what the rhinos have in mind, and what their agenda really is. Their agenda is not we the people. Their agenda is money, is control, is war, is depopulation. Their agenda is to destroy the Constitution. Everyone is now seeing this all play out. And what's very interesting is Space Force has now taken over the missile tracking system, and it seems like everything now is with Space Force. Now, isn't that interesting that Trump, he created Space Force, and Space Force was activated, and it didn't come under the Posse Comitatus Act until 2021, and the Space Force had the ability to monitor the elections, and now Space Force controls the satellites, controls the missile detection. It looks like everything is being set up for a specific period of time, and I do believe that's going to be right before the 2024 election, as people see the Biden administration, the deep state players, fake news, all the other warmongers pushing us towards war. And Trump, he knew from the very, very beginning, he needed to wake the people up. He needed the people to see the truth. He needed them to understand what was about to happen and what their true intentions actually are. Because remember, they put on a suit. They make it seem like, hey, look, I'm just like you. I'm an American and I love the same values that you love. But do you see things very, very different today? They don't love the same values. They don't like the Constitution. They don't like this country. They like war. They like people getting killed. They like all of these things. And I think the people now are starting to see and understand all of this. Now, we're going to be talking a lot more about this a little bit later. But first, let's talk about Biden, because what's very interesting is more and more evidence comes out. We're starting to see these wag the dog type of moments. I mean, really think about it. When we have certain events, it's to distract from what is happening. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't distract like that and start a war or something. Of course they would. They're the criminal syndicate. Look, they brought down the World Trade Center. Just a day before, they were talking about billions of dollars that went missing. They needed a distraction. They needed to bring us into war. They needed the troops out in the Middle East. They needed to regain control of the oil and who was selling the oil and who was buying the oil. And the people only could use US dollars. So yes, they would do this. I mean, look, they released a virus and lied about it. And they used it to overthrow the government and the duly elected president. They kept everyone in their homes. They made people wear masks. They didn't tell them the truth about the bioweapon. Yes, they would actually do this. They would use a wag the dog technique. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch the movie Wag the Dog. Then you'll completely understand. It's a distraction. Because what has come out? Well, we've come to understand with Biden and Matthew Graves, which is a Biden-appointed U.S. attorney for D.C. and the January 6th lead prosecutor, he refused to reveal the names of those involved in the decision to not bring charges against Hunter Biden. And according to this transcript, Graves met with 5 or 6 people from his office in March of 2022 to determine whether Hunter should be charged with tax crimes. 3 weeks later, Graves' office decided not to be involved in Hunter Biden's case. Matthew Graves also told lawmakers he never felt he needed to recuse himself from Hunter's case, even though he was part of Joe Biden's presidential campaign. So he most likely should have recused himself. Plus, who are these people that told him not to charge Hunter Biden? So we need those names. If you notice, what they like to do is they like to hide all these names because they're covering up their crimes. That's exactly what's happening. America First Legal put this out and said, our Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the National Archives has now revealed that then Vice President Biden's office had 19,335 emails with Rosemont Seneca, 4,243 emails with Hunter Biden, 1,751 emails with Jim Biden, 3,738 emails with Jim's Lion Hall Group. Steve Miller said, Joe Biden's VP exchanged nearly 20,000 emails with Hunter's Rosemont Seneca firm. 20,000. This tells you that he was involved in his business. He knew about the business. And if you notice, the evidence is pouring out. It's getting worse and worse for Joe Biden. And soon he's going to have to step down, or they're going to have to remove him. Now, do I think he's just going to step down? Absolutely not. Do I think they're going to force him out eventually? Yes, because as the evidence comes out, remember, one leads to another, which leads to another. And once they start tapping into certain information that brings in Obama, brings in Hillary, brings in many other players, they're going to say, all right, time to remove this guy. We need to shut this down now. And it looks like we're probably getting very, very close. Now, what's very interesting is that Joe Biden was interviewed by special counsel, and this is Robert Hur, and he interviewed him about the classified documents. Now, remember, Joe Biden was a senator and a vice president. He broke the law by having these classified documents. Period. The end. I don't know what they're interviewing him about. I don't know what's taking so long. It doesn't make sense, except that he's part of the criminal syndicate and they're not going to press charges. But Merrick Garland, he broke down a timeline and he said November 4th, 2022, National Archives notified DOJ of classified documents located at Penn Biden Center. November 9th, 2022, Garland instructs FBI to conduct assessment of classified documents and investigate. November 14, 2022, Garland instructs USAO John Lausch to conduct investigations of events and documents. December 20th, 2022, Biden lawyers tell USAO Lausch of additional classified documents in Delaware. January 5th, 2023, USAO Lausch briefs AG Garland and recommends a special counsel be appointed. January 12th, 2023, Biden lawyers inform Lausch Garland additional documents found in Delaware. January 12th, 2023, Garland appoints special counsel Robert Hur. The timeline really doesn't make any sense. What was the FBI and John Lausch doing for 2 months? Something's not adding up. If the FBI began investigating on November 9th and Lausch began investigating on November 14th, then why were Joe Biden lawyers informing Lausch of additional classified documents found in Delaware on December 20th? Why did the FBI and Lausch not find them? Why were Joe Biden's lawyers informing Lausch on January 12th about the third batch of classified documents? Again, where was the FBI? Weren't they supposed to be investigating all this? What were they doing? Oh, that's right. They were covering everything up. And you don't appoint a special counsel on the day it is announced. There had to be some discussion with Robert Hur in the lead up to the announcement. Something doesn't make sense. Trump, he put this out on Truth. He said the following: I see that crooked Joe Biden is working on his document situation. He moved documents, many classified, all over the place for years, including to Chinatown. He even took documents as a senator, an absolute no-no. I come under the Presidential Records Act. He doesn't. A big difference. I did nothing wrong. He did. And so did many others. And he's absolutely right. Wait, did they raid Biden's offices, his home? No, they didn't. Why not? Remember, he was a senator and a vice president. Why didn't they raid his office and homes? It doesn't make sense, does it? Unless he's part of the criminal syndicate. Unless the FBI, DOJ, the special counsel, and the rest are part of the criminal syndicate. This is what they do when they cover up. They don't do anything. They pretend they're working on an investigation when they're really not working on an investigation. That's why the timeline makes no sense whatsoever. And we can see that they used some type of wag the dog thing, I do believe, with Israel. I do believe Trump and the Patriots and Israel kind of set them up. And I think the whole thing's backfiring on them. And it's not working the way they thought it was going to work. Yes, they might have a distraction, but now look what you have. And remember, Trump mentioned this many, many times before, that Biden paid Iran $6 billion. They exchanged hostages, and Trump said, well, you know what's going to happen in the future, right? They're going to take hostages and demand money for them. And what do we see happening? Does Hamas have hostages? Do they have, 14 to 20 hostages? Those are American hostages, plus they have Israelis. Trump was right again. But I do believe with all this happening, it does look like the rhinos, the deep state players, they tried to use this to try to get McCarthy back into the position of Speaker of the House. So let's put this together. McCarthy was thrown out. These rhinos and defense contractors were worried that no money will be spent on the wars. Hamas attacks Israel. Stocks go up for defense contractors. Now McCarthy is being pushed back in by the rhinos, D's, and the defense contractors. The problem with all this is that McCarthy has now told the House Republican lawmakers not to nominate him for Speaker during a closed party meeting on Wednesday. And I do believe they're going to try to push Jim Jordan in, and this is the Patriots trying to push him in. I do believe the rhinos are going to fight back, and most likely we'll have a temporary Speaker of the House until that time when we can actually put Jim Jordan in or someone else. But I do believe that we're probably going to follow this path. Maybe it won't. Maybe, we'll get the speaker, but you could see they try to actually maneuver in this way to try to shake things up. But I don't think it's working. I don't think the people are going along with it. I think the people see through this, and I don't believe Matt Gaetz and all the others are going to go along with this. So this has failed just like everything else. Just like the story with the submarine has failed. We just mentioned this yesterday, but Catherine Herridge, she came out and says, sources tell CBS News there is no indication former President Trump shared sensitive records with an Australian billionaire, and no charges have been filed by the special counsel through their alleged discussion about U.S. nuclear subs was investigated. So basically, all of this didn't happen. There are no charges. Trump already said this is fake news. Rich Barris responded to this and says, long way of saying Esper is a liar. Smith asked Chaka Khan to gag Trump because it's a lie. He did nothing wrong. And he's absolutely right. And you can see that the rhinos, the defense contractors, the deep state players, that's really what they are. They're all part of this system that we're in today. They are now panicking in what is going on. And they can't stand the patriots that are blocking everything. Right now, we have Tommy Tuberville. He is blocking military appointments after the woke military started paying for service members to travel to neighboring states for abortions. So right now, Tommy Tuberville is holding up the military appointments. We can see that those individuals that were generals and were in the military, now they're working for defense contractors, they're getting pretty darn pissed off. Then we had CIA Director Michael Hayden. Well, he decided to lash out at Tommy Tuberville. Remember, Tommy Tuberville, he's a GOP senator. And he called for the assassination of Tommy Tuberville. I mean, really think about this for a second. The former CIA director and board member of the far-left News Guard operation doubled down on what he said. And this is what he said. I was surprised to wake up this morning and discover that many MAGA nuts had lost their minds over my suggestion that Coach Tuberville not be considered a member of the human race. I stand by that view. I'm wishing you all a nice day, even the intransigent Tommy Tuberville. And it's not the first time this unhinged leftist hurled death threats at Trump or MAGA supporters. In August of 2022, Hayden trolled online for the execution of Trump. In August 2021, Hayden also called for unvaccinated Americans to be dropped off in a Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. So look at these individuals. Look how unhinged they are. They need to seek help. General Flynn responded to Michael Hayden, and he said the following. He should be immediately arrested. Yes, I said it. He is talking about eliminating a sitting U.S. senator from the human race. His words, our nation is at such risk right now, and there is almost zero trust in any of our government institutions. This lack of trust is exactly because of arrogant asses like Hayden. He, being a former CIA and NSA director, making this statement only exacerbates this extraordinary lack of trust. The DOJ FBI must take this threat seriously, hold him accountable. At GOP must do the same. This is not a joke. These are very serious times in America, and we need to find ways to fix our American problems. Otherwise, we won't have an America for much longer. God help us. And what's very interesting about all this is that a 2020 report by the Governmental Accountability Office found that 1,700 senior government officials had taken positions in the arms industry over a 5-year period, an average of well over 300 per year. And a new report from our organization, the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft, found that this practice is particularly pronounced among top generals and admirals. In the past 5 years, over 80% of retired 4-star generals and admirals went on to work in the arms sector as board members, advisors, lobbyists, or consultants. For example, Boeing recruited the former chief of naval operations, Admiral John Richardson, following his retirement from government service. The admiral joined the company's board of directors within 2 months of his retirement ceremony. Boeing was the Pentagon's 6th largest contractor in the fiscal year of 2022. Now, we see this with the defense contractors. We see this with the pharmaceutical companies, with the FDA and the CDC. I think we need laws right now outlawing this whatsoever, because this is a rotating door right now. And you can see why nothing is being done. Everything is being used to make money for themselves. And this is not benefiting the American people. This is the swamp. We need to get rid of all of this. And I do believe the people of this country are starting to see this, and the people are starting to realize how bad it really is. Yes, I know a lot of people have seen this. They understood that, government is corrupt, but I don't believe people understood how bad it really is. It is very deep. It is very wide. We have now turned into one gigantic criminal enterprise. And this criminal enterprise protects their own, and it goes after the American people. Anyone that goes up against it, anyone that questions it, this criminal enterprise goes after those people. And I think the people now are starting to realize this, just like they're starting to realize the fake news. They push out propaganda. Social media companies work with the government, violating our constitutional rights. Everyone is now seeing it. And what's very interesting is as this whole thing unfolds with Israel, there's propaganda all over the place. Right now, Prime Minister Netanyahu, he has refuted claims from the Egyptian intelligence official that Israel ignored warning that something big was coming. Prime Minister of Israel put this out on X and said, the report to the effect that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu received a message in advance from Egypt is absolutely false. No message in advance has arrived from Egypt, and the Prime Minister has neither spoken nor met with head of Egyptian intelligence since the formation of the government, neither directly nor indirectly. This is totally fake news. And we see propaganda flying all over the place. But what's very interesting is that Hamas, they released a video, and it reminds me of the Islamic State, where they're flying around in their gliders and they're practicing. Charlie Kirk put this out and said, Hamas releases what can only be described as a hype video showing how terrorists train and rehearse a deadly paraglider attack on Israeli civilians. How did this happen without Israeli intelligence knowing? Well, once again, how was the virus released in the United States without the intelligence community understanding what was really going on? Who did understand what was going on? Oh, Trump did. How did the attack on 9/11 happen without U.S. intelligence knowing what was going on? Because when these things happen, what does the deep state do? They shut down the flow of information because they want these events to happen. And remember, each country has their own deep state. Just because we're talking about Israel or we're talking about Russia, or we're talking about Ukraine, or we're talking about the UK, every single country has deep state players. So if they were going to do this, the Patriots, I do believe they probably knew about it. And the deep state, they decided to shut down everything so this would actually happen. Now, once again, if you're going to expose the warmongers, if you're going to expose the deep state system, if you're going to expose it all, you need to have the people understand. You need to have the people to walk through all of this, and they need to see who the warmongers are. You need to see who the criminals are, and you need to see the sides that people are taking. And that's exactly what is happening right now, because you see the deep state players and who they're controlling. Look at Iraq right now. Iraq forces, they're issuing a stark warning. U.S. will become a legitimate target if it intervenes in Palestine. So now, remember, we fought for Iraq, the deep state. They created an instance where we needed to go into Iraq, and because they needed to control the oil, and they put in a puppet government. And now Iraq is saying they're going to attack the United States. Think about what's happening right now. Because remember, go back in time. When the deep state players went into a country, they called all the people that were fighting against them terrorists. Sound familiar? When they took over the country and they put in a puppet government, those people that were fighting against the puppet government, they called them terrorists or Al-Qaeda. Sound familiar in this country? A puppet government was put into place. Anyone that opposes the puppet government, what are they called? MAGA extremists, domestic terrorists. It's the same exact playbook. And this is how the deep state plays you. And I think people are starting to figure this out. Paul Sperry put this out and said, Biden State Department gives $90,000 to Phoenix Group supporting Palestinian Islamic Jihad and armed resistance against Israel. So when you look at this, you could see exactly what is going on now. And you can see that, yes, the deep state players, they're behind this. Yes, they want to get rid of Israel. Yes, they want to get rid of the United States. Yes, they want to do all this. But I do believe what the Patriots are doing, they're exposing the deep state players. They're exterminating the terrorist groups within these different areas. And I do believe Taiwan is going to be next. And I do believe what we're seeing a cleaning out of the terrorist groups, the deep state players. And that's what we're witnessing right now. And add on top of that, everything that Trump said is going to come true. I mean, really think about it. Trump let us know that if Biden goes ahead and gives $6 billion to Iran, this is going to set a precedent where we're going to have to pay for hostages. Trump, he was able to get hostages out of different countries without paying a dime. Now we're paying for hostages. Think about that. And now these countries, these different terrorist organizations, they realize that the U.S. is weak. Now, I do believe this has been set up by the deep state players. I do believe the people coming over the border are the same exact terrorists that infiltrated Israel. And now these people have been shipped up to New York and many other places. And yes, they've been bussed all over the country by the Biden administration because they're setting something up. And this is going to be an event, and they're going to use these people. But I do believe Trump and the Patriots and the military, they understand this. They understand that this is exactly what they're doing. But again, the people have to see it because everything is connected. This is all leading to what? World War III. That's where all this is leading. Every move Biden makes, every move the fake news is telling you about, every move Obama makes is leading us to World War III. And that is what people are going to see in the end. Now, think about how all this is playing out, because remember Trump's remarks about hostages paying for them. The eldest son of the 66-year-old American Hamas hostage puts responsibility on Biden to return U.S. hostages held in Gaza. And there's reports that there's 20 Americans that are being held hostage, and there's many Israelis that are being held hostage. And what's very interesting about all this is that the Pentagon does not rule out a special operation to rescue American citizens in Gaza. Well, really think about this. How'd that mission go in Afghanistan? That didn't go that well. Do you think they're going to be able to pull this off in Gaza? No, they're not going to do anything. And if they do, it's going to be a complete and utter failure. Kash Patel put this out on Truth and said the following: Biden administration left thousands of American citizens stranded in Afghanistan after its disastrous withdrawal that left 13 U.S. soldiers murdered by terrorists. So what makes anyone think Blinken admin knows where Americans in Israel have a plan to save them and not to repeat history and bend the knee to terrorism? He's absolutely right. Then he put this out. Milley's a failure. Austin's a failure. Blinken's a failure. Burns a failure. Sullivan, Mayorkas, Nakasone, they're all failures. Kamala, failure. Biden, there's no words. Fake news glorified all these government gangsters, said they would usher a new America after Trump. They sure did. Death, destruction, and war. Miss at real Donald Trump yet? I think the people do miss him. And I do believe that the plan is working. You see, as the people see more and more of this, the people are looking at the peacemaker. They're not looking at the warmongers. And at this point in the game, Trump and the Patriots needed to bring out the warmongers so you understand and the narrative is being built, because as we approach 2024, you're going to see these same people pushing war. Now, what's very interesting is we just mentioned the ex-Iran envoy, Rob Malley. And it seems that it's not going too well for him, because this is Biden's administration former special envoy to Iran. And he was placed on leave earlier this year for allegedly mishandling classified materials. And this individual is now coming back into focus. And Representative Darrell Issa, he said, Rob Malley deserves extensive scrutiny yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Why? Let's talk about protecting yourself online. Caesars Entertainment has confirmed that Social Security numbers linked to reward players were stolen in recent Las Vegas cyber attacks. If hackers have those Social Security numbers, then it would put the banking and financial life of those players at risk. Credit cards and loans could be taken out of their name, and money may be removed from their bank accounts. Unfortunately, data breaches involving Social Security numbers like this are no longer uncommon. This is why myself, along with tens of thousands of people, protect themselves. All need to remember, this individual, he was dealing with Iran. He had Iranians in his administration, and this is all connected. Malley and others created an incredibly permissive environment for Hamas, for Iran to do all these things. Noronha, who served under former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, said Malley and his negotiating team purposefully funneled billions of dollars to Iran through lack of sanctions enforcement and provisions of sanctions relief that was given them somewhere between 50 billion and 80 billion over the last 2.5 years. A senior House Republican aide said that the 1.7 billion that Obama administration made to Iran in 2016 eventually contributed to the attack that was triggered. And there is a straight line from Obama's giveaway to Iran to Biden's enriching of Iran and the Iran on Israel. So everyone's starting to make this connection, and this is becoming very, very interesting because you're seeing that the deal that Obama made, and I do believe Obama's coming into focus, it all leads back to him. And yes, we can see that Biden, he's out there pushing this, but again, who's orchestrating all of this? This goes back to Obama. Jennifer Griffin put this out and said, Iran's goal is to draw the U.S. into a broader conflict. Ezra A. Cohen on X responded to this and said, assuming this is true, and the senior intelligence source has this degree of knowledge of Iranian intentions, then were they also aware in advance of Iran's plans to launch an attack against a close American ally? Good question. See, now they're tripping over themselves. But again, when you start to step back and you start to take a look at this, it does look like it's a wag the dog moment. Cash put this out on Truth. He said, here's the coordinated distraction from DOJ in the media. There are no coincidences. He's pointing to a CNN article. It says Biden interviewed in special counsel probe into classified documents found at his home. So when you really start to look at this, yes, I do believe the Patriots, they are now exposing the warmongers. They're building the narrative for what is coming. And I do believe Israel needed a way to get into Gaza to actually destroy the terrorist groups, just like Putin needed a way to get into Ukraine. China is going to need a way to get into Taiwan. I do believe these missions are being used to eradicate the deep state players in these areas. And then all of a sudden we have Hamas, and this is coming from FX Hedge. Hamas official says group is open to discussion over the truce with Israel. So they're ready for discussions. I'm sure they're ready to have a discussion on trading out hostages. And this plays into exactly what Trump has been saying. And the United States right now, they're going to deploy a second aircraft carrier strike group near Israel. I do believe the Gerald Ford has reached its location, and now we see another one being moved into this area. And the other thing that people are going to start to understand and realize is that the Biden administration, they are completely backwards. Because remember, when you overthrow a government and overthrow the duly elected president, the consequences of your actions are catastrophic. And you have to remember the White House, his administration, the fake news, and the rest, they continually say that climate change is more frightening than a nuclear war and is the only existential threat. So Kirby was out there. He was being interviewed, and this is exactly what he said. He said that, and he's defending Biden, that climate change is worse than nuclear war. McCallum then asked, given all the nuclear players in these two areas, where are we now engaged? Does the president stand by that comment? Kirby says, yes, absolutely he does. Climate change is an existential threat. It actually threatens and is capable of wiping out all human life on Earth over time. So let's see, when we're heading towards a nuclear war, which Trump has already told us, and we're on the precipice of a nuclear war, Biden is going to say climate change is much worse than a nuclear war. What do you think the people are going to say about this? The people are going to sit there and go, holy crap, this guy has lost his marbles right now. You remember, all of this leading up to 2024 is about the elections. It's about getting the people united. It's about showing who the true enemy is. When you keep that in focus, everything starts to really fall into place. And he has to show that when you overthrow a government, this is what happens. He has to show everyone their system. He has to expose how all they want is war. They don't care if it's nuclear. They don't care if we win or lose. They just want war because they have no allegiance to a country. They have no allegiance to a people. You have to remember, we're talking about a criminal syndicate that protects their own, that loves control and views us as ants. Think about it. When you go up to an anthole and as a kid or as an adult and you step on it, do you care about all the ants that you kill? No, most people don't. This is how they think of the people on this planet. As ants, they don't want you using their resources. They don't want you using their food. They don't want you in their forests. They don't want you on their land. They don't want you using their energy. They don't want you using any of their resources. This is why they want to take everyone, depopulate, and bring everyone into a 15-minute city, because they want you controlled in that area, which is going to be your prison. That's really what it is. Trump, the Patriots, they're showing everyone this. You can see them. You can see who the true enemy is. And if you remember Bug's Life, they are the grasshoppers. We are the ants. There's a lot more of us than there are of them. This entire time, they've been trying to convince the population of this country and the world that they are the voice. That's because they took over media. That's because they took over government. That's because they took over Hollywood. That's because they took over the corporations. But when you really look at it, they only took over the top spots. So there's very few of them compared to us. But they had the bullhorn to make it seem like they were much, much larger, and everyone agreed with them. Now what we're seeing is that the opposite is happening. The people are waking up, and the people are starting to realize that they are not the majority. We are. And this is a problem that they're having. And Trump is going to show you their system, who the warmongers are. He's going to show you all the policies and their agenda. You're seeing it all play out because in the end, he needs everyone to agree this is the common enemy. He needs everyone to see the common enemy so we can remove the common enemy. That's what this is all about. And think about it. Why did Trump fill up the strategic petroleum reserves? You think he said, something, let's just, fill it up and, let's just add to it. Did he have to go out of his way to do this? If you look at it, every move that he made was on purpose because he knew where this plan was going to take us. The Strategic Petroleum Reserve right now has 17 days of petroleum reserve. So just put all this together. We're heading into World War III. Trump let us know that, yes, war is coming. We can see that there are problems all over the place now. It's building. Next one is going to be Taiwan. Biden has been using the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to control the fuel prices that they decided to increase because they want to bring us into the Green New Deal. Now we don't have the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, but we're heading towards war. So what are the people going to witness? They're going to witness that this guy put us in a position where we can't win. It's going to be a complete and utter nightmare. Now, they're going to continually say we're going to war. Trump is going to say, no, we need to have peace. We can't have war. And I do believe he's going to say this all throughout 2024. He's also going to tell everyone that we're heading into a depression throughout 2024. Do you know how many people he's going to get on his side? He's going to get a lot of people, and it's already working. We'll be talking about that in a little bit later. But first, we can see that once again, Black Lives Matter, we discussed this yesterday. Yes, they are the same people that pushed the entire protests with Floyd. They're doing the same thing now. Black Lives Matter grassroots stands in solidarity with our Palestinian family who are currently resisting 57 years of settler colonialism and apartheid. So Black Lives Matter, they're going along with all of this, just like they went along with the fake George Floyd thing and they had protests. Now, I do believe that this is going to be building up over time because Aviva Klumpas put this out on X and said, this is the ad for a Day of Resistance event at California State University. They are not gathering to denounce Hamas crimes, but to celebrate them as an act of Palestinian protest. So colleges across the country, they're all joining in on this. Remember, this is infiltration from within. The college students have been convinced of this, and they're going to have these people out protesting. I do believe as we move into 2024, and this is just the beginning, they're going to build this up. Yes, we're going to see other events happen. Yes, they're going to build the chaos up. Yes, we're going to see riots. And we can see that they're already building this up. Trump, he put this out and said, I kept Israel safe. Nobody else will. Nobody else can. And I know all of the players. He can have peace without any problems. And I do believe the stage is being set. And that reminds me of post 4847. This is October 11, 2020. And if you go down to the bottom, it says stage being set. Then if we go to post 4848, this is October 11, 2020. It says sometimes public awareness of certain events prevents occurrence. Sometimes public awareness of certain events forces accountability. And I do believe that's exactly what we're seeing right now. And we can see that everything is being set up. All of this, everything that we're seeing is to eradicate the swamp, eradicate the terrorists, expose the warmongers, expose the deep state system so the people understand who the true enemy is. And you can see that we're heading down this path. And yes, it's going to get scary. Yes, it's going to get worse because Trump and the Patriots, they know, and they put this plan together, they needed to wake the people up. We needed to have this pause so people would be able to walk through this and see the truth. Without walking through it, without experiencing it, they would have never, ever seen the truth. It's almost like going up to the same exact people going, hey, by the way, the year is 2018. You know what's going to happen in 2019, 2020? All of a sudden, there's going to be a virus that's released, and they're going to shut down the world. Everyone's going to wear a mask. You're going to have to stay in your house. You won't be able to go to the playgrounds. Then they're going to use that to cheat in the elections. They're going to have mail-in ballots, drop boxes. They're going to actually postpone the election for a couple of days so they can make up the difference in the ballots. And then they're going to push a bioweapon on the people that they won't release, the side effects of it. And they'll tell everyone it's safe and effective. It stops COVID. It stops the virus, but it really doesn't. And they knew it really doesn't. And people are just going to line up and take it. And then later on, they're going to realize, holy crap, it caused myocarditis. It caused other ailments. It caused fertility problems. If you told someone this back in 2018, they would say you're absolutely freaking nuts. The people that went through it and the people that have seen it and the people that have experienced it, what do they see? They see the truth now. The same thing is happening with World War III. This is the only way people will understand it. Just like the borders being open, you had to see it firsthand. That's why all of this is happening. This is all of this has to do with the 2024 election. And I think the people are starting to get it. And what's very interesting is I know the deep state players, they're pushing COVID right now to try to do the same mail-in ballots, drop boxes, but I don't believe it's going to work whatsoever because right now there are more and more reports coming out and it shows that COVID, the reinfections, they clear faster and faster now. Included in this is unvaccinated people. So people infected with COVID-19 for a second time cleared the illness a mean of 6.6 days compared with a mean of 9.3 days for the initial infection. And this is coming from a British researchers, and it's reported in the paper. And I do believe as these variants continually come out, the body is building up the antibodies for all this. And those people that aren't vaccinated, yes, natural immunity is working. And before you know it, your body won't even know, or you won't even know that you even have any type of virus. And remember, go back from the very beginning. The healthy people, they would have survived this. They had a 99.9x survival rate, just like the flu. Actually, they use the flu numbers and the COVID numbers. But you could see that the leaders around the world, and I'm not talking about the installed leaders, those actually that got elected to their positions, they're starting to realize what they have done to the people of this world. And yes, they can apologize, but these people need to stand up moving forward. And this is coming from Canada. And this is Danielle Smith, the premier of Alberta, Canada. And she is the first major elected politician in the world to issue a heartfelt apology to the unvaccinated for crimes perpetrated against their human rights by the government during COVID lockdowns. She says, I can apologize right now. I'm deeply sorry for anyone who was inappropriately subjected to discrimination as a result of their vaccine status. I'm deeply sorry for any government employees that was fired from their job because of their vaccine status. And I welcome them back if they want to come back. Well, once again, people need to do a little bit of research, look at the science, and not just go along with fear. But now coming, out with apologizing. Yes, the apology is very nice. But again, look what they did to the people. Because again, if the people didn't stand up and fight against this, these people would have gone along with it. Think about all the people in Nazi Germany that had the Jews get on the train and others get on the train, bring them to the concentration camps. Yes, I'm sure they're apologizing now, but they went along with it because they didn't want to think logically. They did it out of fear. And for now on, going forward, everyone needs to take a pause and they need to say, whoa, wait a minute. There are plenty of people out there telling you this, but again, they were being censored. But if you really wanted the information, you could have found it, because those people that were telling the truth, guess what? They found a way to tell it. And these people, they didn't want to hear it. And it's shame on them. And now it's a little too late, because think about what they have done here. If we didn't stand up, if we didn't push back, where would we be today? Really think about that for a second. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is that RFK Jr., he decided to drop out of the Democratic Party and go into the Independent Party, and he's running for president. And it seems like his family is coming out, and they are hitting him very hard right now because he decided to become an independent. And what's very interesting, his family's response to his departure from the Democratic Party has been very painful for him. And his relatives, they're coming out, his siblings, they're saying that him moving to a third party candidate is dangerous to our country. I mean, really think about this. And I do believe they're going to have to remove RFK Jr. one way or another, because I don't believe the votes are being taken from Trump. I do believe the votes are taken from Biden. Because think about the MAGA base. We've gone through all of this. Do you really think MAGA is going to go, hey, you know something? I think I should vote for RFK now. I don't think it's going to happen. Just like the people didn't go towards DeSanctimonious. Actually, I do believe Trump trapped the establishment in all this, got them to pile up on DeSanctimonious, and Trump continually called out DeSanctimonious. The people saw this, and the establishment had no place to go. Yes, they're trying to go to Nikki Haley. They're trying to go to many other people, but it is too late. Trump, he put this out, and he said, Ron DeSanctimonious has the poll numbers of a wounded bird falling from the sky. I am up on him by 57 points and going higher. He has proven to be a terrible and inept candidate who even fought Social Security and Medicare. He will soon be out of money and dropping out of the race for president. After having single-handedly gotten him elected governor with no thanks or glory, it has been a beautiful thing to watch. Good luck, Ron. And I do believe there's going to see a lot more people dropping out, because when you start to look at the poll numbers, you can see that the people now are coming to the side of Trump. It's very, very slow. Yes, the Republicans, they're on the side of Trump. Yes, the independents, a lot of them are on the side, but the D's now, that is now shifting. And I do believe as we go through 2024 with a failing economy, open borders, and war, this is what Trump is going to do. He's going to bring these people to his side. Now, think about the other thing that's going to happen during 2024. I do believe Trump is going to have these trials that people are going to be watching on these different fake news networks, and they're going to see something that they never expected to see, the truth. And a lot of these people are going to start to wake up. But let's look at Rasmussen reports. They put out a poll, and this has to do with Trump, Kennedy, and Biden. And this is what it says. If the 2024 Democratic presidential candidate is Joe Biden and the Republican candidate is Trump, and Robert F. Kennedy runs as a third-party presidential candidate, how likely is it that you would vote for Kennedy? Well, 33% of Democrats say very likely. 28% of independents say likely. 14% of GOP say likely. So it's a higher number coming from the Democrats. So I don't believe Trump is going to lose the votes as Kennedy is an independent right now. I think it's going to be the opposite way. And this is why they're going to try to get rid of Kennedy. And this is why, as all the evidence pours out against Biden, they're going to have to actually have a change of batter. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is Rasmussen Reports asked this question. It says, how likely are you to vote for former President Donald Trump in the 2024 presidential election? Now, they broke this down between independents, Republicans, and Democrats. And the response for each party is very, very interesting. Independents only. Very likely 32%, somewhat likely 18%. 50% of independents say they're going to be voting for Trump in 2024. Think about that for a second. Let's move on to Republicans. Here's the question again. How likely are you to vote for former President Donald Trump in 2024 presidential election? Republicans only. 64% very likely, 16% somewhat likely. So when you look at this number, that's 80%. 80% of Republicans say they're voting for Trump. That's why all these debates and everything, they're not even worth having. All those people should drop out right now. Now, this is the interesting part here, because we need to remember the Democrats, they watch MSNBC, CNN, CNBC, and they're not really into Trump the way the Republicans are or independents are. They really dislike him. And I think Trump knew that he was going to have to break the brainwashing, and he was going to have to show these people the truth one way or another. And the only way to do that is to actually have the fake news broadcast the trials for Trump, actually show the borders open, actually show the economy failing, and actually show us going to war. And on one side, you're going to have the warmongers, which is now being introduced to the people. And the other side, you're going to have the peacemaker. So once again, here's the question. How likely are you to vote for former President Donald Trump in the 2024 presidential election? Democrats only. Very likely 19%, somewhat likely 11%. So right now, he's up to 30% with Democrats. Maybe people are saying, big deal, 30%. Who cares about that? But think about this for a second. What the Democrats have seen right now, they've seen open borders, a failing economy. And now as we go into 2024, they're going to see maybe terrorist strikes within the country. Is that going to wake people up? Because remember, everything is connected. This is connected to World War III. The economy failing and us being attacked by Russia, by China, by Iran, by North Korea. Let's say there's an incoming missile and it's shot down. What do you think these percentage numbers are going to be in the year of 2024 when people see this playing out? And on one side, you have Biden saying they just crossed a red line. We have to go to war. When you hear the fake news saying the same thing, when you hear all those talking heads on CNN, MSNBC, and the rest, because most of them are CIA or FBI, when they're all saying, yes, we have to go to war, do you think they're all going to be, yes, let's do it. Let's go into nuclear war. This is the best thing ever. Or are they going to say, you know something? This guy talking about peace, I kind of like where he's coming from. I think the peace part is what I want. I think these Ds, they're going to wake up. They might wake up in the very beginning when these trials are going on, but I think they're really going to wake up when we head into the summer and into the fall of 2024, when they start to see all of this build up. And what's very interesting, since we're mentioning war and missiles and things like that and attacks, Blueprint on Telegram put this out and said, this month, the Army's Joint Tactical Ground Station Missile Warning System mission officially transferred to Space Force. This followed USSF taking over all military SATCOM capabilities under one surface for the first time. So this is very interesting. Who are the guardians? It is the Space Force. They're the guardians of intelligence. They are the guardians. They're watching over everything. And now they have complete and utter control. So do I believe something will happen during 2024? I do believe so. And I do believe this is all being built up to show everyone who the warmongers are, who the people that don't care about your lives, who want to bring us to war. And once everyone understands that, this is when Trump is going to make the move to change everything. Remember, everything is based on 2024. Everyone has seen the criminal syndicate. Everyone is understanding how the system works. Everyone is understanding the policies of the criminal syndicate. Now Trump is introducing the warmongers. And people are going to see that these exact same people, they're going to be bringing us to war. Because, again, when you listen to what Trump said about the pause, that we needed to go through the pause because it's going to be a lot easier for people to accept what we need to do. And what we need to do is get rid of all these people, arrest a lot of these people, and change everything. Take a listen to what Trump said when he says at the end of my next 4 years of what he's going to do. Take a listen.
At the end of my next 4 years, the warmongers and frauds and failures of the senior ranks of our government will all be gone, and we will have a new group of competent national security officials who believe in defending America's vital interests above all else. Thank you very much.
So he's going to change intelligence. He's going to change military. Everything is going to change. And I do believe everything is based on the 2024 election. The 2016 election was the preparation, preparing everything for continuity of government, preparing the government for what is to come, preparing the pause, preparing the plan. 2020 was the actual move by the deep state where they overthrew the United States government. That triggered everything. That brought us into the pause where Trump would put the resident in place to push their policies to wake up America, to get America thinking again, to get America to understand who the true enemy is. Remember, they always want us divided. Trump is bringing us together. You can see it with the Democratic poll numbers. I do believe as we go through 2024, these percentages are going to go higher and higher. And at the end, when we get close to 2024, the people are going to be with Trump. And this is why Trump says this is the final battle. It's either they win or we win. If you don't wake up, they're going to win. Now, a lot of Republicans are already awake. We already see that Trump has 80%. Independents, they are waking up now. It's 50%. Behind them are Democrats. They're at 30%. He needs this full year going into 2024 to wake up all these different groups to the point where they can't take it anymore, where they say, okay, I know who the enemy is. Republicans know who the enemy is. Independents know who the enemy is. Democrats know who the enemy is. And they're behind Trump to fight the enemy. This is why he's saying it's going to be up to the people to make this decision. It's either they win or we win. And I do believe this plan is going to allow the people to take back this country. This plan is going to allow the Trump administration, once he's elected, to go after every single one of these people, because the last part of the plan is the arrests. The last part of this plan is bringing these people to justice. The last part of this plan is restructuring it all. And I do believe we're on the right track. We're heading in the right direction. The people are behind him, and the people are going to vote for him. All he has to do is make it so everyone has their vote, which I do believe that's exactly what they're going to do. And most likely, this is going to be like the shot heard around the world, if you really think about it. Because who's going to be in control then? The Patriots. We're all going to be in control because we've taken it back. We've taken the power back. And now we can go after these individuals. The Patriots are in control. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.
There we go. All right, guys, I got to run. I'm so busy today. I have a Zoom call. Then I'm doing a video over on CALIX's YouTube channel. And I have the 3-hour video tonight. If I wasn't so sexy and powerful, however would I do it all? Love you guys. Make sure at 12:30 you're over at the CALIX Solutions YouTube channel. Me and Patrick will be live. Love you guys. See you then. Everyone else, I'll see you tonight on the private server for the 3-hour video. We got a lot to talk about, folks. join Patreon or join us on the Substack. Right now, if you join Substack, you get 20% off. Love you guys. See you tonight. Bye-bye.